Thank you, Cody. So I think I'm going to get started here. So welcome everyone to today's webinar from Berkeley Nucleonics. Today we'll be presenting a run-through of BNCA Academy and its many benefits to your coursework and lesson plans. Like I said, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to attend this morning, or afternoon or night, or wherever you are on this great planet of ours. My name is Sam Stevens, and I am an Outreach Administrator for BNCA Academy, and my responsibilities include connecting and providing Academy resources to professors and their students. In addition to that, I'm a pretty busy guy. I'm also a SDR for our RF and microwave signal sources and generators. And of course, I'm joined here by my partner in crime, Cody Cole. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Cody. I am a back-end administrator for the Academy. My responsibilities include answering technical questions that you might send in regarding enrollment or ways to proceed in the courses. As well, I assist the professors and teachers who add courses to our program in making sure those courses look as accurate and representative of their content as possible. When I'm not doing that, however, I am a technical sales representative for the nuclear side of things. So I work with radiation detection and identification equipment, as well as custom scintillation detectors.
Great. Thanks so much for that, Cody.
All right, let's get started.
All right, so moving right along here, just a very quick webcast overview. As you may know, Chrome is probably the best for this sort of thing, so we definitely would recommend that. Like I said, if you cannot attend this webinar for whatever reason, it will be recorded and distributed via email. Participants will be muted until the question and answer session at the very end. The Q&A chat box is always open, so if you have any sort of support questions in terms of viewing or audio problems, please feel free to reach out, and our administrators will touch base with you. And for better viewing experience, we would recommend that you expand your presentation window. Chat box is not private, so please keep everything in the realm of good taste today. We would appreciate it. And please feel free to distribute this presentation to your friends and colleagues at your leisure. Today we'll probably be here for about 45 minutes to an hour. And like I said, we'll be sending out the link to the webinar if you have to leave early.
As well, all of our contact information will be available at the end of the webinar. So if you have a private question or concern that you would like to address to myself or Sam, then you will be able to do so at that point. As always, feel free to call in and ask for either one of us, and we will pick up and we can chat for a bit.
All right, thank you, Cody. So just going into a very brief history of the company and who we are. So we were actually founded in 1963 as a spinoff of Lawrence Berkeley Lab by Mel Brown. And BNC is a globally recognized provider of precision test, measurement, and nuclear instrumentation. So from signal generators to spectrum analyzers, BNC offers all the instrumentation you may need to test and do some experimentation. And as we always like to say, if there is a signal in this world, whether it be regarding to radiation or RF and microwave, we would like to provide the capabilities to test and analyze these signals. At BNC, we have three main divisions here. We have RF and microwave for our signal sources, test and measurement for pulse generators and oscilloscopes, and then our nuclear division for isotope identification instrumentation. So our goal is to not just supply and manage equipment, but also to provide you with cohesive resources that power your respective industries. And as you've noticed, textbooks are good for fundamentals, but it can be often difficult to know how an instrument works in relation to the concepts. And really learning how these instruments work can certainly be pretty difficult to find, and that usually involves you leafing through a manual or getting help from a seasoned PhD student. So it could be difficult times. So having a contextualized perspective on the devices that are used in these industries can be very, very helpful. And if there's anything we've learned, the past year or so, we've definitely learned the importance of staying connected to those around us when we're not able to physically be there.
Yeah, and on the subject of instrument training, that's actually how the Berkeley Nucleonics Academy got its start. It was a sort of way to train users in our equipment, but those three food groups that we particularly deal in have a wide variety, and we realized that there was a lot of ground to cover, and our attempts to cover our ground is kind of how we culminated into the academic offering that we have today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Many of those trainings have been, on site with, first responders, or those in, geographical surveys, from all different industries. And as Cody mentioned, that really started to, give us an idea in regards to, connecting more with universities.
Yeah, we always like to describe the academy, at least on our end, as an ongoing project. Even as we complete courses and broaden our offerings, it always feels like something that can have any amount of effort put into it in any time, and that's what's very great about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So kind of going into the three pillars of today's presentation and the Academy, it's really kind of divided into three sections, learn, connect, and achieve. So starting with, learn. So when you're in the Academy, you're really getting an experience that is elevated in some specific ways. And you're being exposed to different ways of thinking and to perspectives from really around the world, and what works for different users around the world and for what reason. And we're really kind of aggregating reliable information in a unique way. So in a similar way to how we develop our products, we're doing the same for the Academy, combining feedback to produce a very refined user experience. As we'll go into a bit later with a demo of the website, it is very, very easy to use. And you're really just getting the information as efficiently in your brain as possible, which is certainly helpful. Yeah, and then going on to connect, these courses are uniquely positioned to help those entering a new field. So content comes from professors and device users, in the industry. So scientists, technicians, and thought leaders working on courses specifically tailored to your needs and lesson plans. And then moving on to achieve here, the goal is to achieve success in the real world, ultimately, by being exposed to thought leaders in your respective industry, like I said. So we're also providing you with certificates upon completion of the courses, which can be included on your resumes to exemplify your experience and just to kind of give your resume a bit more like industry context as you head into your potential first job after getting your PhD, for example. These certificates can be printed out, framed, put in your new office, whatever makes you happy. And then just in regards to our general support as it relates to the Academy, as you might be able to see, we're a pretty small but focused team, and we respond to feedback and your questions in a very timely manner. And ultimately, we're really there to connect with you and to provide conversation when you need it. So like I said, if you submit a question, it will be answered by a BNC admin, as we care about everyone's success in the long run.
Yeah. And, in terms of success, as someone who has, recently entered the job market myself, one of the largest advantages of our academy is it's a very early, concrete, attainable way to get something that sets you apart from other students. I know that a lot of, near college graduates are kind of thinking, what am I going to put on my resume besides my college experience, besides my internships? This academy course, it's, these courses are supplementary. They're easy to kind of get started, and the reward and the kind of result is just extremely effective, when you're trying to, as Sam mentioned, break into these industries.
Yeah, absolutely. So just moving right along here, just a very brief overview of Berkeley Nucleonics Academy. We've gone into this a bit already, but just talking about how the Academy itself is structured. The user flow is very simple and user-friendly. And all your registered courses will show up on your home screen. You can then very simply click into a course, go through the course material, the videos, and some brief quiz questions as well, which are a good supplement, kind of keep you on your toes a bit. And then, effective completion of these courses will leave you with a broader connection to the industry at large. And as I mentioned, we'll be giving a brief demo on the interface. And then also to just kind of further emphasize the three pillars of the Academy. So, you're quickly learning the basic principles in your respective industry and how these industries such as RF, play a crucial role in the development of 5G networks, for example. And then you're connecting with the help of engaging videos and credible source material, which allow you to get exposed to industry thought leaders and their original content. And then lastly, you achieve by earning these certificates and potential college credits upon completion of the course. And as we've coordinated with some universities, these official credits can be coordinated with your professors and universities. So you can actually be getting some college credit towards your time spent on the academy. And more importantly, when you achieve, when you have a contextualized understanding of your area of interest as it relates to the larger industry. And then lastly, just to further emphasize the connect component of BNCA Academy, when you connect with others in the field by reaching out to us with a question on the academy, or maybe even on some instrumentation as well, this is only really going to further build your industry acumen.
Quick question, Sam. Was the 5G connection remark you made earlier, was that intentional as a pun, or was that just
No, that's the real deal.
Legit.
Thanks for clearing that up, Cody. So this is kind of Cody's expertise, but I think I'm going to speak on it here a bit. So here's our 4 currently available nuclear courses. So just like in college, as you've experienced, they might kind of taper up a bit in specificity and difficulty as you progress. So new course 1, for example, teaches you the basic mechanicals of radiation detection and the core tenets of radioactive materials such as radioactive decay and half-life. It then dives into best practices for using radiation detection and identification devices as well. Moving right along, then Nuke 2 further goes into radiation detection with scintillation technology. In this course, we discuss the materials used in scintillators, the role that thermal neutrons, radiation damage, emissions, and temperature play in the scintillation process. And lastly, you will learn about scintillation light detection, such as photomultiplier tubes and photodiodes. And then the last 2 ones here, we have Nuke 3. And this course, this is actually kind of a good a feature course. This one is taught by James McQuaid from Lawrence Livermore National Lab and provides an overview of uranium, plutonium, and other special nuclear material. And then lastly, Nuke 4. On this course, we go over neutron detection and its more unique tenets, such as boron and lithium detection.
Yeah. And, funny story about these courses in particular and the academy as a whole. When I was interviewing for a sales representative position here at BNC, one of the questions they asked me was, which product that we offer interests you most? And I had actually answered, well, I like the scintillating crystals. I like how they light up when radiation hits them. But at that time, my imagination of a scintillating crystal was like a checkerboard dance floor at a discotheque. And in order to kind of expand on that knowledge, these are the same courses that I used in order to become now a technical sales representative who's able to confer and discuss with requesters for custom scintillation detectors and radiation detectors. So in terms of if these courses are trustworthy and contentful, I can attest personally that, yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of add on to that a bit, Cody, I mean, I would say, looking for a job can be difficult in determining what exact role you want to get into. And I think the academy can then kind of refine that a little bit. There's so many different roles for you out there, and just being able to further determine exactly where you want to end up. I think this could be, implemental in that.
No, you're totally right. When you're, going through educational material and it starts to feel less like studying and more like learning, that's when you're on the right track. And, deciding what you want to do with your future is the hardest question you're probably ever going to have to deal with. So, yeah, it's good for that too.
Absolutely. All right, so now moving on to our RF and test and measurement courses. So we kind of follow a similar structure to the new courses. And just a bit of a background on our RF test and measurement. Our signal sources, for example, can be found in automated lab or field applications. And they're actually, they're used in national laboratories and universities around the world. And that kind of goes back to some of the aggregation of information. In the development of some of our products, we're receiving, information and feedback from users around the world. And we're aggregating some of that information in BNCA Academy. So you're really getting exposed to different perspectives of thinking about this field. And then diving into the courses themselves here. MRF 1, so this teaches the architecture of RF systems, including mixers, combiners, signal generators, and the simulation of signals. Additionally, we go into many fundamentals of the industry, such as testing components that emit or receive RF signals. So while signal generators have many applications for testing components from radar, Wi-Fi, and satellite communications, we also dive into how they can be found in the study of plasma and quantum computing, for example. And I'll go into quantum computing a bit later on today. And then for the second course here, it is also, for this course, it is important to have a solid understanding of the initial RF material first, as this course dives more into the importance of measuring phase noise and the analysis of signal purity as well. And then the last course we have here, TMI 1, this course examines how timing, while it can often be seen in delay generators with the triggering of devices, this can also be seen in signal generators, of course, as creating different timing with waveforms such as slow, fast, or delayed waveforms.
All right. And kind of to expand on something Sam said earlier about the presence of our equipment in the industry, this is completely not to brag, but our digital delay generators are a bit of a Waldo situation when it comes to countertop configurations. Those devices will pop up when you don't expect it. So it's definitely good to have the context of all of these fundamentals through the usage of a device like ours.
Yeah, no, and just to kind of briefly piggyback off of that, we do have the BNCA Academy. That being said, if you do find yourself in a situation where you get a demo unit from us, for example, or you're dealing with a colleague's unit and you just are completely lost, obviously we have our engineering team who will be able to assist with any and all of your questions. And, they can go on a team viewer with you and collaborate to see the issues you're facing and kind of go from there. But kind of moving on to our virtual trainings here. So as Cody mentioned earlier, we started our collaborative teaching efforts with virtual trainings for those out in the field. Many of our virtual trainings covered the operating basics for a wide variety of RIDS and radiation and isotope identification equipment. So whether you're involved with geological or environmental surveys for your university, there's bound to be a training that applies to the instrumentation you may end up using. And as I'll talk about a bit later, some of these virtual trainings go way back in the day to the early 90s and then so on. And it's really kind of cool just to see how much the industry has changed and what our units can really help with in regards to your data analysis. So you think about the SAM pack here on the left and then the SAM 950 on the right. Both of these pieces of equipment are highly ruggedized. And they do really allow for ease of use out in the field. I'm sure many of you have experience in the past doing some sort of data analysis out in the field. Your back's getting tired. It's been a long day, and you just can't take it anymore. I mean, these devices really kind of allow you to collect as much information as efficiently and comfortably as possible.
Yeah, these devices are portable, they're convenient compared to a lot of the options out there, and they're also heavily documented. If you don't want to learn about the SAM 950 through one of our Academy courses, we have a monster of a presentation on our YouTube channel that is 2.5 hours. I mean, we discuss everything from the internal detector components to why we chose that particular shade of orange for the chassis. So if you ever want to just sit down, get some popcorn, and just learn how to use one of these units, which is used by, real emergency responders, then go right ahead.
Yeah, Cody, that webinar was your blood, sweat, and tears. So
I was crying during it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So kind of digging in a bit deeper to more, specific, areas of focus and study and how it relates to particular instrumentation. We also offer state-of-the-art niche topics. So in RF, we have quantum computing. So that course should be ready somewhat soon for users. So that's coming up. And then in scintillation detectors, we have content suppressors. So just to dive in a little bit, I'm sure many of you are familiar with quantum computing, but maybe not. So I'll just go into it very briefly. So ordinary computers use bits that are like tiny switches whenever you're using like an app or a website. So quantum computers, for example, use qubits that are in a superposition. So in an on or off, or sort of in this kind of an in-between phase between on and off. And this allows for a substantial decrease in the amount of time it takes to process information. So for example, if you're solving some sort of problem on a supercomputer, what could have taken maybe thousands of years in the past is now being condensed into mere seconds. And so Google, Amazon, they all have these quantum computing departments as they apply their research to develop self-driving cars. Obviously you want to have very reliable, quick flow of information with self-driving cars. So quantum computing is really going to, make sure this industry progresses as fast as possible. It also has the ability to rapidly accelerate the development of artificial intelligence as well, which is interesting and a bit scary at the same time. So now Cody is going to jump into the art of Compton suppression. Cody, if you want to chime in here.
Yeah, the fact we have a Compton suppression course is definitely a very interesting fact for us. It is an area of scintillation that is heavily conventionalized, and it is understood as a BGO Compton suppressor attaching to a high purity germanium detector or other high resolution gamma detector, and basically reducing the background. But there's a whole lot more in terms of the materials that can be used, as well as the techniques that are possible to reduce backgrounds. The course here, the Art of Compton Suppression, will actually cover a lot of those alternative methods, like using sodium iodide in the Compton suppressor, or even using plastic scintillators to reduce the cosmic background rather than the Compton background of the detectors you're attaching it to.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Cody. I think we're going to move on here. Yeah, so just to kind of quickly introduce everyone to our world-class instructors. We have a great lineup of professionals here that have been in the industry for a very long time. So we pair many of our courses with thought leaders in the industry, and their courses also include helpful video walkthroughs and trainings that add a much more dynamic component to learning when compared to just presentation slides or textbooks. And these instructors have over 100 plus years, I would say, of industry experience, and are able to provide you with their highly credible and unique perspectives from their industries. So just kind of going through here, we have James McQuaid, as I mentioned earlier. So he's actually a retired Lawrence Livermore National Lab nuclear engineer and a current nuclear applications engineer, and he has contributed to our courses and webinars, and has done trainings all over the place. And then we have David Brown. So he is, of course, our president here at BNC, and he's a creator of many Academy courses and a host of our test and measurement device trainings as well. Alan Gonzalez, he's our director of sales and marketing, and he provides training and webinars for our nuclear and radiation detection devices. And yeah, so we'll go to first responders, for example. We'll go to different fire departments. And so on, and just show them the importance of having this sort of equipment on site. And then we have last but of course not least, Mark Slattery, who is our nuclear applications manager, and he's an expert in our scintillation and detection devices. He's also done a lot of on-site trainings and webinars as well.
Yeah, and all of our instructors are backed by professional contributors, as well as supported by myself, the backend Academy Administrator. All of the information that we provide to our courses is sourced and is heavily drawn from reference materials and other things that will make sure that information you're receiving is as accurate as possible.
Absolutely. So I think right now we're just going to take a very quick pause and have you just answer a quick question. So we're going to send this out right now. And I just sent it out. So if you have any questions with that, please feel free to let us know. But we'll kind of move on here after we get some good responses.
I hit yes, by the way.
Oh, thanks, Cody.
What do you get on question 1?
I'm not telling you. Can't be cheating.
See, there's our BNCA integrity right there. Even on a 1-question quiz, he won't let me cheat.
Never.
But hopefully everybody who is in attendance has been enjoying the webinar so far. It's been very exciting to finally get to talk about these courses in a comprehensive way and to get this information out into the world. I believe that it will prove to be a very interesting project in the next couple of years, our academy, as we increase our amount of courses that are offered, as we improve the way that we distribute content and arrange content. I definitely am excited to see where we are in 2 to 3 years with the course offerings.
Definitely. And, as we've kind of touched on earlier, we're really just trying to create this great conglomerate of information. And by having, all these different universities, connect with us and to learn your feedback on the courses and maybe some past experience you have with your instrumentation, we're really able to provide, others around the world and just create this very kind of, LinkedIn-like network for your respective industries.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think we're just going to wait maybe another 30 seconds to a minute on this poll, and then we'll proceed.
Sure. And not to spoil the segue a little bit, but as we just discussed, all this talk about the Academy being an ongoing project, what we're about to present next, which is on the slides right now, is kind of both an opportunity and an offer to you. And Sam's going to go ahead and cover one aspect of it. I will cover the other. So definitely a good moment to sit up in your seat and see if it interests you.
Thanks, Cody. So moving along here. Please contact us if you're interested in creating or contributing to a course. As I mentioned, that we really can't do this without you. We kind of would like to do the same for you in terms of getting the information that you have, found over your years of study to sort of distribute that as well. When a professor collaborates with BNC on a course, the material will, of course, be free for all of their students to reference. I'm sure many of you have, experience maybe, with getting some of those like packets with the ring binder things from the library. You can sort of think about that as more of like, this is kind of like a virtual form of that, but, plus videos and, on-site trainings and all of that. So it's a really kind of dynamic supplement to your lesson plans. Like I said, our academy is a great source to further distribute your scientific papers. And it has been our experience that when you have this very diverse collection of findings and perspectives, on the academy, we have an improved learning experience for everyone.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a critical opportunity for professors who are looking to kind of also perhaps integrate their own content information into a platform that will make it look pretty cogent and effective in, reaching out to students. You can add quizzes to these courses. You can add videos, images. You can section it how you please. And I will be there, of course, working with you directly in order to make sure that it is picture perfect. I remember, as someone who majored in computer science, there was a lot of teachers I had who basically their course offering and their information when they presented it, it was a white void with sans serif font and, just like an HTML web page. And I always kind of think now, with a bit of time and just a bit of reaching out, they could have had something that looks like one of our very nice courses.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. I mean, we kind of have this whole professor's office with papers and books stacked all over the place. We've kind of compressed a lot of that into a very seamless course, where there is a lot of information to be had, but it's in a very kind of seamless package with our website. So I think that kind of segues nicely into our live demo. Cody, was that going to be your responsibility for today, or was there going to be an administrator on that?
I thought it was yours. No, I'm just kidding. I got it.
Making me sweat over here.
So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and transition. Sam, if you may let me know when it pops up.
Yeah, just a second. Okay, great. I see it now. Perfect.
Of course. So our Academy homepage is very simple. Basically, every panel here represents an individual course that we offer. So you can receive some initial information, such as a short, truncated version of the summary, as well as the course name. For this little example here, I'm going to click on our second nuclear course, The Fascinating World of Scintillation Detector Technology. You'll receive the full summary, as well as an introduction to your instructor, and an overview of the course curriculum. And if you want some information, just like a little bit more in order to make a decision, there's also this watch promo button up here where you can see, basically the summary that's in text in a video format. And now the other thing you can do in order to decide if a course has the right, teaching style, the right format, the right information for you is we offer previews on some of the lessons within these courses. So for instance, I can look at this lesson 2.1 Scintillation Detector Basics for free without having to make a decision on a purchase, without any need to enter information beside registering with an account. And as you can see, the format of the Academy here is very simple as well. It has a timeline of the courses that you can take, which is based on the curriculum you just saw. The way you would complete the course and receive a certificate is to simply make all of these full circles by completing and continuing on each subject. And as far as the platform goes, besides any technical questions or specific desires you might have, that would basically be the entire function. And the reason why I like it like this is because it's so simple that it allows the full focus to be on the content that's being presented to you. There's no need to worry about if you're missing something or if you don't know where something is in a particular section. It's very effective in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this would be a good segue just for another quick poll, and then we'll move on to the the next slides here.
All right. While I hope this doesn't place a bias on the poll answers, I will say that any answer below 100% likely will hurt my feelings. Oh, gosh.
Well, Cody, there's 2 no thank yous, so I think that equates to 2 tears on your behalf.
Well, that's quite all right. You might not need the courses for yourself, or you might need not to enroll for yourself, or it might not be the right time, but I definitely still thank you for attending this webinar and kind of getting an idea of what it can offer in case it is useful to you in the future.
Definitely.
All right, moving on.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cody. So in addition, this can actually be a great supplement to the BNCA Academy as well. So we would definitely, we'd recommend you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll receive email notifications of our upcoming webinar. And our YouTube channel is another great resource that showcases our virtual trainings and webinars. As I kind of stated earlier, we have these YouTube videos up there that, were posted right when, YouTube was even a thing in, 2007 or something like that. And it just kind of shows, our presence in the industry. And, for the viewer, it's kind of cool since you're able to track how the industry has progressed, whatever industry you may be in over the past, 20, 25 years or so. And just kind of wrapping up here, Cody, if you can just go to the next slide.
Yeah. Also, it seems like when I screen shared, my device became a little bit messed up. I'm going to mute here and kind of step to the side a bit, but Sam, please feel free to continue and give the summary.
Absolutely. So yeah, like I said, just thank you so much for attending today. We know you've been very busy, with your lesson plans or your course material. So we really appreciate you joining us on a Thursday morning. And I think what we're going to do now is we're going to open it up for our Q&A section and just kind of take it from there. So Cody, if you're available to get the Q&A session rolling a bit here.
Oh yeah, of course. And looks like I got that issue fixed. I'm not quite sure what happened, but hey, that's my role to make sure I can fix those sorts of things. But starting in the Q&A section, Glenn, I feel like our second nuclear course on scintillation detectors, the one I was using as a preview, will cover a lot of the fundamental practices behind a few of those devices. But in terms of a specific focus, we don't have anything that covers in particular analysis PET imagers or X-ray CT detection. It would definitely be very nice to have that kind of advanced course. So if that's something you feel you have the content or the knowledge base to kind of offer, we would be more than happy to get in contact with you and discuss a potential way to get that online. So while we're waiting for a few more questions, I guess I'll ask you one, Sam. What's
Sure.
your favorite Academy course that's currently offered?
That is a great question. I would have to say the competence suppressors one is really interesting, just because that's not really a field that I'm too familiar with. So it allows me to develop a lot more. And I think the upcoming quantum computing course is definitely something that I'm going to be very interested in as well. I think the material is starting to come online for that. So once that becomes available, I'll definitely be one of the first attendees there, just to kind of go through those courses. Yeah, just the industry itself is pretty fascinating in terms of how it can just accelerate all these different industries.
Yeah, I don't think there's any sort of maximum you could ever have in terms of how much should I learn about quantum computing. And as you mentioned, we are actively working on this course and hoping to get it launched pretty soon, within the next month or 2 months. And when it launches, I feel like it will help a lot of people in terms of understanding this very, very, very advanced technology.
More art than science, you could say.
Yeah.
Do you have any more questions at this moment, Cody?
No questions have popped into the chat.
Okay.
I mean, you're always free to ask me something, or if there's something you feel was pertinent to you, I'd be happy to answer it here.
Yeah,
Anything good for
absolutely.
edification.
No, and we know a lot of this stuff is very kind of self-explanatory. And if you have any questions in the future, please feel free to reach out. Cody, do you have a particular course that you enjoy?
I enjoyed the RF Bootcamp a lot because that is a top to bottom overview of the fundamentals in that area. And like you mentioned with competence suppressors, it's not my area of focus. So it kind of strengthened my understanding of that area when I kind of do interface with it, or, you bring it up in conversation, when everybody's talking endlessly about, RF generators around the water cooler. Finally, I'm not just sitting like a wallflower. Like, I wish I understood what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's always good.
Yeah, RF microwaves and San Francisco Giants. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And then I guess my other question would be, obviously you were in college and took a vast majority of courses. How do you think this would compare to some of the course material and the courses that you had?
I think that in terms of college courses versus what the academy offers, I used a word earlier in this presentation, supplementary. And that's because while these courses have a lot of content, because you're in control of how fast you proceed through each of the sections, you're also in control of how long and how vigorously you study the material. It's kind of less intensive and time consuming than a college course. But then again, the secondary aspect of supplementary is that it is meant to assist you and help you in acquiring fundamentals that are also coming to you from another source. So I feel like it's definitely secondary in that regard, but being a secondary source for information by no means makes it inferior to college courses. I just think it's important to be, to kind of like, wine and crackers. The academy is the crackers, and you got to go ahead and get yourself a full-bodied wine, and that's my recommendation.
Yeah, absolutely, especially after this webinar.
Nope, that's required for me.
All right, but I digress. Is there any more questions on the Q&A section?
Nothing popped up, which I'm going to take and assume means that everybody is in an understanding about the Academy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, once again, on
Oh,
behalf
wait.
of,
Oh,
do you have
one
one?
moment. Do you foresee a course on radiation safety in the future? Yes, actually, that is something that I have seen in the back end and has been in preparation for a while. It would be very important to us, since we do deal with a lot of emergency responders, to kind of have another source for that information on how to be safe around radiation. Of course, just due to the nature of, radiation studies or radiation equipment, a lot of radiation safety practices are baked into our content just as a forewarnings and nice to knows.
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of goes back to the on-site trainings a little bit, with going through how the instruments work in sort of like a in the field type of context. And yeah, once again, please feel free to reach out if you need any sort of clarification on some of our instrumentation or our courses. So Cody, if there's no more questions, I think we'll kind of segue out here a bit. Once again, thank you on behalf of myself and Cody and the rest of the BNC family here. We really appreciate your time. We hope you kind of learned something about, maybe some industries at large, along with the Academy as well. Once again, I don't think me and Cody's direct email is on this slide, but please feel free to reach out at info@berkeleynucleonics.com, and someone will be more than happy to address the questions that you may have. But thank you again, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. If you do want to enroll in the courses, feel free to, send an email to that, mention the webinar, and we could potentially get, a discount set up for that. So that's just another opportunity I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, thanks for clearing that up. Great. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Goodbye.